Hello everyone, welcome back to ThinkHub. I am Daksh, Khandelwal, a student of Bachelor of Science degree in Applied Artificial Intelligence and Data Science from IIT Jodhpur. So today is episode number 85, I guess. Yeah, 85 of Beyond the Headline series. And in today's video, we would be covering three most important stories, two from South China Morning Post and one from Hindi. And we will try to know what they really mean to us. So before that, just a small promotion of my video. So please subscribe to my the last video which I have uploaded on the YouTube channel. That is the study abroad, how to study abroad. So you can just watch that video. So yeah, in today's video, we will be covering three most important stories. So without wasting any further time, let's get started with just a small intro. So the first news is that it's basically South China Morning Post news, and it's US China relations. Obviously, I'm just talking about the US China relations with respect to AI. So the Americans firm adopting Chinese AI as US China rivalry intensifies. So basically, what does that? I have not read the news yet, but yeah, the US may want a world to choose sides in the AI race. So you know that AI race. I'm sorry if my video is buffering, but yeah, AI race is being going on, and in that AI race, you have one side US is there and one side China is there. But in Africa, many businessmen are pursuing a more pragmatic strategy using Chinese models. Why Chinese models? Because they are offer valuable and or flexibility, and they have a cheaper options. For example, when African insurtech platform Curacao expanded the range of AI models powering its internal infrastructure, it did not look only to Silicon Valley. Instead, the Nigeria-based firm, which provides AI-powered claims and fraud detection infrastructure, added GLM 5.3, a Chinese model developed by Beijing, alongside models from Western providers. So basically, Henry Muscut as chief executive and co-founder of Curacao. You can just read all those news and all, and these are some texts which are just conveys conversation. So I'm not aiming to read those conversation, but yeah, if you want, you can just read it. So Curacao has approach reflects a broader shift with its sub models such as DeepSeek, Quen from Alibaba, and the owner of South China Morning Post, and also the Moonshot AI Kimi. Many Chinese models may take their weights and all the Huawei in China's last month launch, world's artificial intelligence cooperation organization Valco, with the Beijing presenting its open weight technology. You know that in China, open weight technology is the very famous technology. So that open weight technology is the largely proportional or largely promotional activity done by the Chinese companies and all. So the context is extends beyond models to semiconductors. So it's beyond the semiconductors model and critically minerals, cloud infrastructure, rules governing AI. You can just read it more than in that. So basically, Everstack has moved source of its clients to Chinese models. So companies all over India are moving its product to the Chinese models. Why? It's because it's an open weight models, very cheap and very effective in their work and all. So that's why they are using a legal sector client has switched because of lower cost per million tokens. There's always about the cost. So they have Chinese models have lower cost per million tokens. So that's why more of the companies are switching to China. But if any companies want a proper security, so they will just move to the Americans countries and all, America's property and all. You can just hit that Moonshot AI promotes its Kimi Khedri model in that. Price is far. You can just open weight model. You can just read it. It's about they're just telling about that. So the African's strongest position in US China technology competition is not choosing one side. So this story is all about that Africa, the one of the biggest one of the big country in terms of AI and all. So they have not a strongest position in this US China competition, means in this AI race. They are using some part of the Chinese models also. They are using some part of American models also. If they want security, so they choose American models. But if they want a cheaper rate and if they want a properly cheap rate tokens per million tokens, so they choose Chinese model. So that's why they don't have a firm strong in on one opinion, and it's building enough capability and leverage to work with both eventually. both and eventually contribute more of technology to that ecosystem. So that's the news that they have to work both in the ecosystem to provide Africa's AI ecosystem. So that's the news for you all. Moving towards the second news. So second news is about that. I guess video is buffering, but sorry for that. US efforts to secure AI supply chains are doomed to fail. Chinese Academy has stated. So basically, Washington's initiatives such as PEC Silica will not be succeeded by targeting third parties. So what does mean? So you know that the latest US artificial intelligence supply chain initiatives are doomed to fail. Why? Because of the prominent political scientist who has also argued that efforts to restrict US companies. So there are some restrictions in that. That's why they have doomed to fail. Instead, he argued that United States and China should collaborate on driving global economic development to generate the external demand needed to sustain the long-term growth. So, U.S. frameworks such as the Tech Silica, the Chip Alliance, are the Rare Earth Alliance, especially target a third party. The escalating technology rivalry between the world's two largest economy has prompted Washington to set up international pro-grouping, and Jiang referred to as these all thing AI. So earlier this month, you can just read it, this about the AI leadership context between Washington and Beijing. I have told you that in the race of that US, and in the previous video, that in the race of US and China, there is a backside of Washington and Beijing. But why they fail? Because they have lack of resources. And some people say they have resources, but they do not use their resources. So there are some conceptual errors in that. In these two cities, that's why they are not in the race of China, US, in the race, in the AI race. So you can just read it. He also told American tech firms favored expensive closed source approach suited to evolution. You can just read it now. I mean, just to rather than engaging in zero sum competition, Zhang said that China and US could cooperate on rising world consumption levels as way of helping their economic to continue to grow. So that was the news. That basically the news was US has efforts to secure AI supply, but yeah, sometimes they have been lacking. Sometimes they are in good in sometimes. So there is some reasons and all. You can just manipulate it from that. Now the third news is there is also a US in action, and this is a political news. Not political, basically world news only. US MOU best way out of war, says Iran president. So basically Iran's president, you can just read the name, Masoud Pezeshkian, on Sunday defending a memorandum of basically MOU, memorandum of understanding with the United States as the standard. You can just see that the MOU was signed in the mid-June, open 60-day period for talks, only talks, no war and all. So there were talks, and they sometimes break, they sometimes bring no new MOU, very new changes were there. You all know that these changes were not temporarily, they changes drastically. Sometimes new MOU, sometimes they break MOU, some new MOU. So different types of MOUs there. So they are saying that MOU best way out of war, says Iran president. Just a minute. So yeah, basically, if it is, I think I'm able to zoom. If Mr. Trump wants to do something, we will retaliate as a seismic manner. So they are just saying, Iran Supreme National Security Council, if Donald Trump do something else, so we will just retaliate with our weapons and all. So these hot talks will be going on between them, and it's basically US depressions and many more things. There are some political news I want to cover, but yeah, it's I have to take the news of Hindu paper. That's why I have taken this. But yeah, there are some issues with US and Iran, and always they just talk behind each other and talk about if they didn't think, I will just attack them. If they don't think, if they will do this thing, I will just do this, and they are just back bitching of each other. That's the motive of that these two countries. So I won't be giving you a detailed explanation about that news. So that's all for today. The three news. Let us take the glimpse of three news. First news was telling that Africa, the major part who is holding in AI ecosystem, are using both America's technology, also AI technology, and Chinese AI technology. If they want security, they choose America. If they want cheaper rate per million tokens, they choose China. So there is always the race going on between America and China. In the second news is that US has efforts to secure up AI. Just a minute. US has secures to secure AI supply chains are doomed to fail, as Chinese academic has said, just because they are using some. Just a minute, I think buffering is there. So yeah, there was some news, and why Beijing and Washington are behind, because some of the reasons I have discussed in the news. And in the third news, that US has MUs best way out of war. So US has said that MUs are MOU, that is memorandum of understanding, are the best way to get out of war. But says Iran president. But some there are some talks. There are many talks. Sorry. Sometime Donald Trump said that war is only the solution. Sometimes he said that war is nothing a solution, and he wants a peace medal and peace award. So there are always the numerous talkings about these things. So you have to deep down into that. You have to study each part. You will just confuse about that. So that's the story of U.S. Iran political political news. So that's all about your three news for today. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing to ThinkHub for more news, AI, and learning content. I will see you in the next video lecture or in the next episode of this series. Till then, keep learning and stay curious.